Hey, it's Friday. Let's trade some Forex. Let me remind you that trading Forex is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never, ever, 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 ever risk money you cannot afford to lose. Oh man, that's all messed up. Can't quite see. Guess that'll have to do. Can't quite see some of this. Hang on. I guess it's all right. I can't quite see. Anyways, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. My name is Wayne McDonald. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. Let's trade some Forex today. I suggest we do dollar pairs, yen pairs, gold and oil, and answer any technical questions that you have. Also, check this out. You want to try something a little bit new? Let me copy this. Hang on. Copy. And now you guys are gone. Let's find you guys now. Here we go. Yeah, you want to try something new? Check this out. Go to this page instead. See if you like that any better. It's a darker theme. It's a nicer theme. It's the exact same stream that we're doing now, but it's just nicer. While you're at it, like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if you subscribe over on that link on the gaming site, maybe the notifications work better because they don't seem to be amazingly good at YouTube. It's not a big liability to have a car. It's a big liability to run your car into other people and other cars. All right, so anyways, blah, 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 blah. Let's just go. Please visit TradersWay.com. Open up an account today. We want you to succeed, and that's why I'm here every single day. So, g'day. Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about yesterday is trap it like it's in a range, let it break. Said it's only a liability to run your car into other people and other cars. Where's my drawing tool? All right, here. All right, so anyways, the general theme on trading a break or a range, and this is a range, I believe you'd agree, okay, is to just let it break and then get a retracement, trade the retracement, right? So you'd enter here or here, okay, and whenever the breakout occurs. Then, of course, if you are really trying to enter trade into a bias, then not only would you buy here if you're a bull, but you would buy here if you're a bull. And you remember, I said if it does break out, as I drew here, you wait for the pullback and you try again. Good morning, Daniel. Daniel and I were talking just like 4 minutes ago. So can you see that? You either traded it, let it break, and then trade whatever happens, or you trade your bias. In this case, on Monday we had a bullish bias, and then I set you up with a potential Tuesday one, and then there was a Wednesday one, and then I set you up for a potential Friday one. but it's all there. Okay, you can see I've even drawn it. Now you might make a big thing about this 21.55. Really, when the market's moving sideways, you don't need the 21.55 because they measure the market. But if there's no market because the market's sideways, the reason I say there's no market, well, you either have a bullish market or you have a bearish market. But if it's neither bullish nor bearish, then you don't have a market. Okay. Then, of course, what I showed you earlier was if you go back and you trade it with a trend in mind, then you simply spend your days and your weeks doing things like, if you happen to be a bull, simply looking for areas to buy. And you know, this is a counter trend trade, right? This is a bullish setup. This is a bullish setup. This is a bullish setup. And along the way, there were other bullish setups like this one and this one and this one. But then there were failed ones that maybe tried here and then failed, and well, maybe that's it. Okay? And not to get frustrated with failed trade plans, as long as you're truly buying at support in the direction, or or selling at resistance in the direction of your trend or the bias. Okay. So I hope you liked yesterday's webinar. I thought there were some gems in there if you really pay attention. I think I shared the Forex gospel with you guys, with y'all. Okay. In fact, maybe we can go here. Let's go to euro dollar, or euro yen, I mean. And let's take this 1 hour chart. Okay. So we had on the weekly basis, remember, this was an obvious entry. This was an obvious entry. This was a role reversal type entry. This was sort of a breakout type, right? Okay. But let's change the template. Boop, boop, boo, doo, doo. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oops. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Why don't I see it? Boo, 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 boo. I don't want this one. I want a different one. Daily, pretty. Maybe it's this one. Okay. Okay. So, like on a daily basis, this is a buying pivot, or buying zone. But we'll say that's the big pivot, and then this is a buying zone, and this was the buy zone, and this is a buy zone. But on the flip side of that, this was a sell zone. I don't know what the heck that is. R3, I guess. I mean, and this was a sell zone. Okay. So if you wanted to be a bull, okay. But what we don't see up here now is this is the projected high for the week, right? Does that matter? Is this useful information to have? We didn't have it on the other chart. Would this persuade you to say, well, maybe this is important? Yeah. So that's why I use daily and weekly and monthly. Okay. That's why I use them. That's why we have a cluster. One isn't more important than the other. They're all important. They're all my beloved children. Okay. But most importantly, I like the monthly and the weekly first, and then drill down. Okay. So what should you be doing next? switch networks. So hopefully it's the same recording. Now it should be back. I flipped it. I think we should be online. Right? We back? Yeah, I love cooking. All right. Here's a 4-hour chart. Remember our trade plan from yesterday? And by the way, this is why you have redundant internet connections. So if one goes down, you just flip to the next internet connection. Okay, see the plan that we designed yesterday? Remember that? Well, the interesting thing is, it seems like nothing's happened, but I bet you, younger traders that trade primarily shorter term charts potentially lost a lot of money in there, or maybe potentially made a lot of money, but a lot of amateur traders don't tend to make a lot of money. So I look at these things where when the market doesn't go anywhere, I find that's where in my past I've lost most of my money. When the market's moving, that's obvious, right? Now you also get, I've coached a lot of people over the years, and there's also a certain type of person, and it might be you, that no matter how bullish the market is, or no matter how bearish the market is, they counter trend trade. And that's a weird one too. Has anyone bought oil all the way down over and over and over again, even though I told you like 6 weeks ago to stop buying it? Has anyone just been buying it all the way down? Come on now. You got to admit it to yourself. What do you care? People in the chat room you don't even know. Always looking for tops and bottoms, yeah. It takes a while to really train yourself to look for trends, and it's something about the human condition, I guess. So anyways, that's what I'm hoping for. Okay. And since it's based on a higher time frame, we're only kind of setting up now, right? Are you short of the Trump bump? Yeah, that can hurt. Yeah, so it is important, and I think we kind of touched on that yesterday as well, to really know your lines, know your bias. You're simply picking prices. You're not doing anything foolish. And when things seem to not be going your way, I mean, how many times do you have to buy oil and have it fall lower before you realize you're probably wrong, right? And we talked about it when I made that decision, that was going to be a big learning. Oh, it looks like I cleared it. Too bad. I think it was way up here, wasn't it? I'm like, that's it. I don't want to buy it anymore. I think it was way up here. Where's my drawing tool? I think we were here, and I'm like, that's it. I'm out. I'm not interested in even looking at it. It needs to completely reverse and prove to me that it's reversed. Does anyone actually remember that? Like, I was very clear that even though I'm a bull in oil, that's my Alamo, and know when to walk away, know when to run. That's me running away. Can anybody confirm that? Thank you, RJ. Yeah. Thank you, Henley. Hey, by the way, is anyone on the gamer site? Is anyone watching the webinar on this site. Maybe try subscribing. And I'd like to know if they have a different alert system or notification system that the webinar started than what YouTube uses. Really? Huh. It's pretty. Couldn't get sound on. That's weird. All right. So anyways. So here we are. Still waiting for oil to prove to us that it wants to go up. And it's got to use a lot, right? Oh, is that right, Mike? All right. All right, so let's peso. So what's the assumption here? The assumption is on Monday we will be down here. Actually, that's not quite true. Let me back that up. The assumption is on Monday we're going to be down here. Okay. So with that assumption, aka bias, aka plan, now you need the tactics. Where would you sell this if you felt we were going to be here on Monday? Well, that means you're a bear, so you need to find resistance. And that be it. It could go a little higher, as high as that. We don't really want it to, but it could. So it's sort of this whole zone. Whoop. So your trade plan today might be okay. So it's actually a little bit different than that, Adam. It's between next week's weekly central pivot point and really next month's M3. Okay. So that's that. And why might it break to the downside? If we've been sitting in basically resistance this whole time, why would we break support this time? Why would we break this range? Why would I assume now, if I didn't hear, what's the difference now? Why would I assume break? Oh, I'm sorry, Mexican peso. Sorry, Greg. Not the Fed. It's Friday. There's more to it than that. I can't say that that's not part of it, but that's not the main reason. Just to make sure everyone can see this, this is USD MXN. Because 2.6 billion is going to move from this country to this country tomorrow, maybe today. Okay? So the market's going to open basically in a few minutes, let's just say, in the next hour for sure. And this money will start moving from here to here. And so if that is true, that should bring this down, especially if dollar isn't strong today based on other things. Okay? That's correct, Pharaoh. If you have a link, that'd be appreciated. Okay, so now that's a lot of guessing, right? Check this out. That's the weekly central pivot point, right? Okay. And is this the right time of day? Basically 7 a.m. New York time. Ciao. Yeah. So it could be happening. So you have to start deciding, are you doing this now today? Okay. You see, once again, strategy first, then tactics. So someone should write a book called Strategic and Tactical Forex Trading. Oh, wait. I wrote that book like 10 years ago. Well, that sounds like a good idea. Would you front run a swing trader G20, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Would you? Okay. What I say? So nothing really has happened here. Yeah, that's really cool, Ron. Can I have it in Hong Kong dollars, please? So, just waiting here, right? Is that what the market's telling you? How do you read this? When you look at the market, does it say get aggressive now? Does it say wait? Is the G20 that important? How do you analyze this market? Should you get in today? Should you get out today? Should you ignore today? Should you take the day off? La 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 la. Ba ba ba. Roll reversal. Yeah, trade your bias, but you still got to be careful, right? Okay, you see this? Followed by this. You see, I have it all lined up here for you. Okay. Higher high, higher low. You could probably have traded that. Higher high, higher low. Right? Higher high, higher low. You guys getting it? So I'm a bull on this, right? So this is a place to buy. Worked for a while, didn't work forever. This was a place to buy. It only worked for 16 hours and then it failed. Okay, this was a place to buy. This was a place to buy. This was a place to buy. This was a place to take profit and get out of all the trades. That was Wednesday. Okay, see what I mean? What if you were a bear? You sold here, it only worked for a day and a half. You sold here, only worked for 2.5 days. Maybe even tried here. Sold there, and it only worked for 16 hours. And I don't think you would have tried to counter trend trade that. You see that? Or at the very least, bulls and bears had opportunities to put trades in and make money. Okay? Right? So what you're doing, right? What you're doing is something in between those two things, right? You're doing something in here, 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 you're doing something here. And typically, right? Well, up here, I guess that doesn't really count because that's a get out. But do you find that that's the case? No one's going to admit that either. No one wants to admit they're the monkey in the middle. So once again, I want to invite you to, first of all, open an account at Trader's Way. Then second of all, take a course, get some coaching from FX Bootcamp. And then third, get really, really, really good at entering a bias. And I don't care what your bias is. I don't care what it is. And if you have to flip a coin to get a bias, so maybe on New Year's Eve, right? The music starts playing, the fireworks are going off, you flip a coin. I'm a bull 2019. Yeah. Yeah, cheaper than my golf instructor. Yeah, that's true. I like the epiphany. Oh, I haven't done that in a long time. So this was years ago. And, oh, hey, thanks for subscribing, Faith. This was years ago, and I felt like I was working too much. So my wife said, you need to exercise. I said, I like golfing. So I want to get serious about golfing. I had this idea that I was going to join a league and go in tournaments that my country club did. So I hired a golf instructor coach. I hired a golfing coach who actually played in the PGA, shot a 59 in a PGA tournament, and once was paired with Tiger Woods in the final round of a tournament. Now, he lost to Tiger Woods, but he played against him in a PGA tournament. It's not bad, right? So he costs more than getting coached or training at FX Bootcamp. So he was just a golf coach. And then I realized I didn't have a car. I work all the time. Why do I need a car? So anyway, so I bought an AMG 55 Cabriolet because it was a convertible that would hold my golf clubs in the back. And I drove 1 mile, maybe a mile and a half to the golf course at the country club. Country club has 4 courses. But anyway, so, and yeah, and that was that. So I'm just saying, I mean, it shouldn't be a lot of money. All right. Ba 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 ba. Well, Mahmood, why don't you just leave then? Why don't you just leave? If it bothers you, just leave, bro. I don't mean to offend you. So let's go back to here. I think I skipped over gold. La 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 la. What do you want to do here, guys? Well, I can see there's a front run really for bears, and we had this set up last week, right? Or earlier in the week, where we had a plan A sell and a plan B sell. This higher one is the plan B sell. In case bulls came out of the gate on Monday, we knew that that'd be a false rally, so we had a Tuesday drop, but it fell on Monday instead of the false rally. Right? So we have the monthly plan and all that. I think, should we leave these? Should we leave all this stuff up here? I guess it's okay. But yesterday, if you were a bear on this, and I'll admit I haven't really been watching this lately. There was an opportunity there, right? It's pretty interesting. If you happen to be a bear, you were at resistance. You were at the weekly M3. And if you recall, that was the plan on Monday was if someone, where were we? I guess it was here. If someone drove it up here, we would sell it Monday or Tuesday, right? Remember that? But that was only plan B. And plan A was, well, this is bearish because of the resistance. So, right, that's actually plan A. So it's interesting, we kind of got both, right? So if you're a bear, this was just as sellable on Thursday as it was on Monday, or even last Thursday. So I don't see a major need to buy this, right? Right? I look at it and I'm like, yeah, if I was a bear, but other than that, it just seems pretty mediocre, right? So let's do something like, I'm going to tear up the script a little bit. So oil's not moving. Many of the yens are not moving. So yeah, maybe it's just early, but maybe the market's a little bit quiet because of the G20. But there are some setups but these are like late kind of setups. Pound yen. I always get worried when pound yen's not moving. Right? Look at that. So even pound yen's not moving, right? USD yen, don't really care about that one. Euro yen, we did. Aussie. Somebody said, like, why is Aussie moving? Right? Who said that? Someone else said that earlier, right? Right? Somebody said, why is Aussie yen going up? No, actually, why is Aussie going up? And maybe it is going up, but like when I look at this, I see yen, not Aussie. And I see, so I guess I have to change the template because this doesn't have the watermark on it. Let's do this one. Okay. And I see more yen than I see Aussie, which I think is kind of interesting, right? It's over the weekend, Aaron. But the way that you can look at this, and so let's do this intelligently instead of just guessing it's yen. This is why I give you the Aussie scan. And let's go 4 hour, 4 hour, 4 hour, 4 hour. Look at these old trade plans I gave you on Aussie Swiss, right? Plan A or Plan B. Well, clearly Plan A worked. You're welcome. And then would you call this a role reversal? I would. So that's the new Plan A. Very obvious price action type trading. So anyways, all right. So we're trying to see if this is Aussie strength. This isn't Aussie, is it? That's Singapore dollar. So what do we have here? Aussie dollar, Aussie Swissy, pound Aussie. I guess we got to go Aussie yen. What's this? Aussie Swissy. We have Aussie Swissy up there, right? Yeah, and then Aussie CAD. Yeah, let's do Aussie CAD just to mix it up a little bit because we already know yen. All right. Okay. We already looked at yen. All right. So the question is Aussie dollar strong or is it not? Well, Aussie versus the US dollar went up at the first of the month, hit our target, and stopped. Does anyone recall me on multiple occasions just saying take the rest of the month off? We hit the target, done, go away. Have a vacation, right? Volunteer at a museum. Anybody remember that? Okay. So Aussie was strong versus the US dollar, and then it's just kind of moved sideways. I mean, over and over and over again, but still, if you took the, hey, Derek, welcome to the family. So by the way, so if you got out, let's say that would have been the first week, then the second week you came back to the charts, you looked at your price, and you're like, oh, nothing happened. We're still at the price, right? And then you came back a week later and you looked at your things and you're like, oh, still nothing's happened because the price hasn't changed. Okay, but so it was up and then so it was strong and then it was not strong. Now against Canadian dollar, it also started the month really strong, but it went up and up and up and up. So you're like, wow, maybe it is really strong. But it wasn't really strong versus the US dollar. Okay, and we look at this chart, and it was relatively strong and relatively strong. Yeah, but that's going back to September, right? So I'm zoomed out too far. What we're looking at is sort of the October. So what we're actually analyzing is it went up here, and then it fell and then kind of moved sideways. So it's closer to like what happened over here against the USD, right? So we're only analyzing this part where it actually came down pretty significantly. But if you got out in the first week of the month and then you come back at the last week of the month, it's the same price. Nothing happened. Okay. And then what about this? So this is an inverse scenario because Aussie's on the right side. It's the numerator. No, it's the denominator, not the numerator. Okay? So if it was the same, it would be falling. So it started the month, Aussie was a bit strong, and then has moved sideways. So it started the month strong, then moved sideways. Started the month strong, then moved sideways. Started the month strong, and then went further up. So I think, and we know Aussie did something similar. Didn't it go up and move sideways? It was sort of up, sideways, up, sideways. So from all of this analysis, I can tell you 4 weeks ago, the Aussie was strong. Okay. And then it lost the strength. And yen weakened. And CAD weakened even more than yen. So we had CAD was the weakest. Then yen was the weakest. And then Aussie was the weakest. And then wait, Swissy might be in there. Well, it was strong here and then weak. So they were they kind of went back and forth on this one. Wait. So Aussie was weak, but so was dollar. So USD is in here. I don't know. Anyways, I was trying to like line them up. But what you can see is I think Aussie was strong 3 or 4 weeks ago and then has gone neutral. No, Joe, don't say things like that. So on Monday, I explained how to think like a central banker so that you don't have to listen to the idiots on TV going, what's the Fed going to do? What's the Fed going to do? What's the Fed going to do? You're like, really? So the Fed wants to go neutral. I don't even know how to spell neutral. N-E-U-T-R. Is that right? Neutral? Okay, they want to get to neutral. So you have to ask yourself, what is the interest rate? And then big I, and then the real interest rate, and then inflation. So you have the interest rate and inflation. What's inflation? I forget. Gee whiz, I haven't done it in a while. Anyways, you got to line up inflation. Let's just write it out. Okay. You got to line up your rate of inflation. The Fed uses PCE. You could use CPI. Okay. Okay, whatever. You can use whatever. So for endowments, they use the higher education higher education something index. Higher education performance index? Higher education. I know, they use HEPI, not CPI. Fed uses PCE. Anyways, you have some sort of measure of inflation because that's what interest rates try to do, right? Tame inflation. So now you got to raise interest rates. To meet your objective, interest rates, okay? And what you also want to do is bear in mind the real interest rate, which is inflation minus the interest rate, or interest rate minus inflation, but okay? So what does neutral mean? Because it's not the same as normal. What is normal, let's say? Normal interest rates, and by the way, I did this on Monday, so, right, but this is sort of attacking it from a different angle. Normal would be inflation plus an interest rate that's higher. So it might be like inflation plus 1% or inflation plus 2% or something, because you want inflation to fall or flatten, certainly slow down. And that would be a normal policy. So that maybe inflation only goes up 0.5% a year or something, right? 0.5% a year. And therefore, interest rates are probably going up 0.75% per year. And that would be normal. But neutral doesn't mean normal. And I know many of you don't speak English as your first language. Right? So there's a difference between normal and neutral. Neutral means not above, not below, sort of like not bullish, not bearish. So what Powell is saying is they're moving towards neutrality, to neutral. So what they're trying to do is measure the rate of inflation as typically PCE, or which is PCE. And if you were to guess what PCE is, what you do is you take CPI and you can just subtract 0.5%. And that'll almost always get you PCE. Now, PCE I think is like 0.35 off right now, which is, it's a little different. But typically, if you go back 30 years or whatever, you're going to find PCE is typically a little bit less than CPI. It has to do with things like substitution effects and the formula effect. And look, you got to be economist for that nonsense. But just let's say they both use baskets. They use different types of baskets, and PCE tends to be more accurate according to the Fed, so they use the Fed. So anyways, what the Fed's trying to do is get CPI and the interest rate to be the same. So the real interest rate now would be 0, which is neutral. And they tell us this stuff in great detail over and over and over and over and over again. So what did Powell say on Wednesday? They're getting close to the neutral zone. They're getting close to neutral. We're almost there. Yeah, we know that. We know that. We know what inflation is. We know what PCE is. And we know what the interest rate is. And when they line up, we'll be there. Why are we having all these debates on TV? And people freaking out like, when are they going to stop? What's the path? Or when are they going to... You're like, dude, it's elementary. Right? Absolutely, totally elementary. So why is everyone freaking out, right? It's just so silly. It must be terrible to be in the dark. It's so frightening. So nothing's happening, guys. Nothing's happening. What's going on? There's nothing happening, bro. But you starting to see these great trade plans? I remember going over this one. Someone said Aussie Swissy. I'm like, Aussie Swissy. But if I had to, double bottom, higher high, what do you do next, guys? Hammock, thank you. You get full bonus points. Okay. That's just a trade plan. You could stay in that forever if you want. It's up to you. What's another one? Would you agree? Could you sell this? Yeah, if you had a fib or something, or if there was a pivot, you could. But if you bought this one, what are you doing for your next trade plan? And that's, you can see I have everything here. This was resistance. So somewhere in there, you're going to buy it. Remember, at the time, we were in like 15-minute charts. And I said, well, today's day trading plan would be, plan A would be to buy it at that price. You see this? And you see how it fell just a little bit further into here? So if that doesn't work, buy it here. Plan A, plan B. And I said, and this is plan C. But hopefully, that probably wouldn't happen that day, right? But do you see how if you really focus on clarifying your direction and establishing what you want to do ahead of time, you're going to do better as a trader. Okay? You're going to do better. Just look at this. On this particular day, in this particular moment, we said buy it. Okay? And just like this produced a dip, right, and a rally, it produced a rally. So what do you do in this situation? Well, that's what this was all about. Okay? And then if we do make a higher high up to this level, I'm going to draw this, and we're going to do it again. Okay? And to be clear, your entry should be here. Your entry should be here. Your entry should be here. Meaning that it's after the bounce, not before the bounce. Okay? Been listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's in my brain. Double hits. Thought you don't trade double hits. What's a double hit? Please explain, Jimmy. Yeah, really, it's a jazz band. They started out as like crazy alternative, but my gosh. Really? I've said that, Jimbo? See, I think I prefer, if I understand what you're saying, I don't like one touches. I love double bottoms and double tops. See, like if I was a bear, I would sell that, right? Yeah. So maybe I just misunderstand. If so, I apologize for that. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba. Any other pairs? Someone asked for Aussie yen, but I swear I did Aussie yen once or twice already. I think I did it on the news trade setup. What are you, about a minute from CPI? Or not CPI, sorry, GDP. Okay. How do you like my peso, guys? La 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 la. Ba-da-boo. Ba-uh-uh-uh. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert in rupee. I apologize. Negative GDP? Great. Right on. I hope you liked it and subscribed. Okay. Now, if this trade works out, I want to remind you that we talked about it yesterday. Today's Friday, right? I think we talked about it yesterday and we talked about it on Wednesday. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I apologize, Jimbo, if I misunderstand. What do I like and what do I don't like, I think is a sort of a bigger question, right? Well, I like trends. Okay, that's the biggest thing. And then when do trends end? How do you know a trend has ended? Hmm? Okay. So in my original strategic and tactical Forex trading video from 12 years ago, the first time I gave the presentation was the very first Forex Trading Expo in Las Vegas. Okay. You see how it gets shallow? Okay. So what I'm looking for when I'm trending, I'm buying here, but I'm looking at what happens after. Okay, buy here, a lot happened, so I'm very confident. But then I look at this. Do you see how much it's fallen relative to how far it fell here? So this might be a 382. This might be 100%. That's the first red flag. Okay, this might have been a 382. This probably would have been more like a 50%, really. And then all of a sudden 100%. That's not supposed to happen. And then this is it. Okay, that's the giant red flag. So you would have this all marked out like this. There's no doubt. Okay. And so if I'm a bear now looking to be bearish in a bullish market, the question is, do I dislike second touches? And I actually love second and then even third touches and even fourth touches. Okay, because then the new trend. So I like the way the way a trend reverses is typically a reversal pattern. So what are the reversal patterns? There's double tops, there's triple tops, and they're usually even a form of this where they're kind of like that. There's head and shoulders patterns where there's a stretch, right? There are crown patterns, which are basically just head and shoulders. Okay, they're all good. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is they're only relevant if they happen where you expect them to happen because you're sitting around waiting for a reversal. Where most people fail is they're not identifying places where these are supposed to be and you're not anticipating a reversal. You have no idea of like fundamentally why it would reverse or what. And newer traders or people that have been mistrained are simply looking for patterns. They're just looking for the pattern with no context and no anticipation. It just shows up and you're like, oh my God, right? But by the time you see it, it's too late. So typically, you know, when let's change colors again on the pen. Maybe go back to red. You know what? Not red. Let's magenta. How do you guys feel about magenta? Okay. It's this part here that sets all of this stuff up. I don't know if it's going to be this or this or this or this, but I know it's probably going to happen right about here. And then I look at it and see that there's like weekly pivots or monthly pivots or a psych level or something, and that's why it's forming. And then and this is the big heads up that it's likely to form. So I shift gears on everything, take profit as much as I possibly can, as close to the double top, and then start looking for selling opportunities here and here. Okay. So the second touch, do I dislike the second touch? I don't recall saying that. Okay. And again, where a lot of people go wrong is they see it and they start trading it here way after the fact. And where the money is made is anticipating that it's going to happen. And you have good reasons of why it's going to happen. Because if you understand why it's going to happen, you can be there when it happens, because it almost always happens at obvious places. All right, so Jimbo, help me out then. Okay, so if I'm a bull, are we talking about 1, 2, or 3? You say, so I'm saying if you're a bull here, I'm not sure where here is, and bounces off support. Which here are you talking about, 1, 2, or 3? 2 and 3, yes. What I don't like, okay, so this is where we misunderstood. I thought you were talking about, you know, A or B of a double top. I love B for a double top. What you're talking about is a little different in this case, and I'm going to differentiate by saying it's because this move down towards 2 is 100% retracement off of an area probably expected to be resistance anyways. So this area here is where I need to anticipate moving stops and taking profit. 3, I wouldn't buy. In fact, I'm looking to sell, you know, 4 and 5. Okay. And it's in my book. Like, I'm not joking. This exact chart I just drew, I put in my book 12 years ago when I wrote it, or 11 years ago when I wrote it, because it was published 10 years ago. So I wrote it 11 years ago, and the original presentation was probably 13 years ago at the Forex Trading Expo. I actually went through this in the presentation. This 100% versus the 382, that doesn't belong there. So this is going to create a top, and this is going to be the false bottom, and then there's going to be a false retracement, and you know, all this kind of stuff. It's all there, right? All right, so that's generally it, Jimbo. So how did that apply to Aussie Swissy? Not entirely sure, and I don't need to go back and, you know, because maybe it doesn't fit perfectly or whatever. Don't look at it as a fit perfectly. Look at it as if you're a bull and you're in a trend, and you got a 382 retracement, buy, and then maybe this comes down 50%. Great, buy. Then it comes down 100% off resistance. Stop buying. It's not a double. It's not the fact that it's this per se. It's the fact that it's down more than 786. In fact, it's more than 618. Okay, so if you get anything more than a 62 here, start looking to get out, especially you anticipate being challenged there at resistance because of a weekly pivot, a monthly pivot, a cycle level, or whatever. Yeah, and I don't think it would be a contradiction, right? I don't think so. And I've been doing this for so long. Yeah, to me, again, almost everything I look at, to me, is unopinionated. My goal is to, when I do technical analysis for you and for me, I don't have any opinions. My opinions come from bias, fundamental analysis, macroeconomics. That's opinionated. And that's where my bias comes from, right? But technically, I don't have an opinion. I'm just reading sheet music. So that's why, like, maybe I misspoke or didn't say it eloquently or something. But, I can look at this and say, oh, this is peso, I would sell here. And then I can look at it and say, oh, well, yeah, I just gave you that advice an hour ago. Well, I know I gave you that advice because that's what it says. Right? It's not my opinion. Now, my opinion might be, well, based on the repatriation flows, this is more likely to happen today than a move like that a week ago. And I think somebody asked me about the peso trade a week ago, and I'm like, you're too early. And now we're in basically the same price. I'm like, yeah, now it's better. But again, some of that's opinion based on repatriation on the macro flow, but the technical analysis is it's factual, in my opinion. Jimmy says, well, the book is beginners. And then if you're at FX Bootcamp, we have a beginners trading course, which covers a ton of stuff. So go to FX Bootcamp. And without further ado, I got to go. And if you're a swing trader, if you're in the swing trading group, let's get over there now because in about an hour and a half, I have to leave because I'm going to go get my beard shaved off. And my wife was begging me today, please don't shave it off, please. And I'm like, baby, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. So, what do you think? So that's my Movember. I can't even see. Where's my webcam? Yeah, what do you think? That's Movember. That's 30 days. It's not bad, right? Little testosterone never killed anybody, right? It's not bad. It's a little gray. It's a little gray here and here. And, well, so. Do I have live stats? You know what? I'm just a humble college student. But I'm an A student. It looks like I'm going to graduate in the top 10% of people in Harvard. That ain't bad. There's my track record. I came up with a brilliant idea last night, and I'm going to write a paper about it over the weekend and submit it. And my professor has never seen this before. New math. I came up with new math for finance. And I'm going to put it in the paper. Boom! So I'm super happy. I've been working on it. I literally felt like Steve Nash, right? Steve Nash? No. John Nash? Steve Nash, I think, is a wrestler. John Nash, Nobel Prize laureate in economics and mathematics. Do you ever see A Beautiful Mind? Where he's sitting there, and I guess he's Yale. He's a Princeton dude, isn't he? Anyways, he's sitting there, and he's not even going to classes and stuff. And people are asking him, like, what are you doing? You're going to flunk out. And he's like, I'm here. I'm not here to take classes. I'm here to come up with a brilliant idea. And he's writing on the window with markers and stuff. And he's just wherever he's going, he's struggling and he's struggling. Where can he come up with an idea that's revolutionary? How can he win the Nobel Prize? How can he change the world? How can he come up with his own name so people remember Nash. And then he goes to a bar with his roommates, and 3 girls are at the bar. Oh, thank you for subscribing. 3 girls are at the bar. One is super pretty, tall, thin, blonde, super pretty. One is short and stocky, and not super pretty. And then there's the one in the middle. Some, you know, not a supermodel, but not, And then which one? How does it play out, right? So he watches his roommates and the other men in the bar interacting with the girls and watches the girls how they interact with the men. And he goes, oh, snap. Comes up with game theory and the Nash equilibrium. Move, 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 move. How does the prettier girl move? And so she goes out there and she gets all the attention, right? And she's like, yeah, buy me a drink, buy me the drink, buy me. But she's just playing all these guys. And she's flirting and all that kind of stuff, but it's meaningless to her because she can always have this attention. She loves being the center of the room. That's right. And then the other one does this, and she's, not so happy and all that kind of stuff. She's poo-pooing on the parade. And he walks right up to the other girl, not in the spotlight, but, all that kind of stuff. And I think he ends up marrying her. But he just plays it out like da da ba 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 ba. Comes to the equilibrium. His best shot at dating this girl is going to go the one in the middle, and he knew how to play it. Duh. So anyways, he ends up doing the math, and it's game theory and natural equilibrium and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm like. I'm looking for this. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like literally, I'm thinking about Nash writing on the windows, struggling. I got to come up with a revolutionary idea, and I got it last night. Boom! My wife's in bed at 11. I'm like, I got this idea. My professor's never seen this math before. I'm going to do it. It's great. It's the greatest thing ever. So anyways, I got to do that this weekend. Is that funny? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. No, whatever. I don't have to show anybody anything. So, I'm not asking you for anything, so I'm not going to give you anything. So anyways, I love you, babes, but I got to jump. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Have a fantastic weekend. Make sure you go through your charts, review your strengths and weaknesses, and come out on Monday flying and supercharged with plans already designed. I mean, how many times did I show you Aussie yen this week? I'm like, look, if you're trading it in the Asia session, boom. And then the next day, if you trade it in the Asian session, boom. And then Wednesday, if you trade it in the Asian session, boom, right? I don't know if it changed your behavior at all. Like, if I were me, I'd say, well, oh my God, I got to trade the Aussie yen in the middle of the Asian session. But whatever. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Cheers.